Hello, we are Tutorial 2 Group 5 and we'll be presenting on Chapter 5, Managing Change and Innovation. So, what we will discuss? Firstly, we're going to discuss about the tutorial question, which is from question 1 to 5. And then we're going to discuss about one case application, which is defeating the system. We will start our presentation with tutorial question first. So, the first question is, why is managing change an integral part of every manager's job? Managers have a critical role in ensuring that the company's objectives are met. As a result, managers must be capable of handling change in their organization in order to keep the company in excellent shape. Why is it essential for managers to know how to deal with change? Change is a necessary aspect of a company's growth and overall success. Advancement in the workplace must be undertaken in order to correspond with technological, economic, and innovative changes. For example, Nokia was the top firm in the world at selling phones a few years ago, but due to changes in phone innovation, they were unable to continue their market position. According to David Jacobs' book, The Decline and Fall of Nokia, refutes the notion that Nokia was incapable of invention, claiming that poor middle management hampered efforts to bring technologies to market. This is why managers should have the ability to manage changing. The other reasons why managers should have the ability to manage changes is to increase an organization's adaptability in facing change or risk. As we saw this year, COVID-19 had a negative influence on the company and the economy. The majority of businesses are having trouble maintaining their profitability. The company's managers play a critical part in developing a new strategy to assure the company's success. In the event of a pandemic, the majority of enterprises will conduct business online. It would be a relief to the organization that has already switched from physical shopping to having both physical and online buying options before the pandemic happened. Managers' decision to make changes in line with technological advancements help the organization avoid insolvency during a pandemic. Employees also play a critical part in ensuring that the business runs smoothly and efficiently. Changes in work structure will encourage the development of new skills for employees. Employees who have the high caliber will assist businesses in adapting to a crisis. There is an issue, for example, where the client is dissatisfied with the work. Employees that are well educated and have a good communication skills might avoid receiving negative feedback from clients. The employee's prompt response in ensuring that the client will give the employee's prompt response in ensuring that the client will give the company another chance to resolve the issue will help the company generate goodwill. A company's ability to promote new skills and specialties will benefit the entire organization, especially its employees, in becoming significantly more well-rounded and talented team members. That is all from question 1. Thank you so much. I will pass the floor to my members.
Thank you, Wanda. Hi, I'm Durgah here. Next, I will be discussing question 5.2. Contrast the calm waters and white water rapids metaphor of change. Which of these would you use to describe your current life? Why is that one of your choice? Now, we will move on to the first requirement of the question, which is contrast the calm waters and white water rapids metaphor of change. Generally, what does these both metaphors mean? The metaphor of calm waters and white water rapids illustrate how changes in an organization occurs. Firstly, the metaphor of calm waters depicts a large ship navigating through a calm sea. Ship's captain and crew are familiar with each other and the route as they have been for several times before. Only an occasional storms occur and the change in the organization takes place in a predictable and calm manner. They even can solve it fast and easily. In a simple phrase, it says that planned changes come with the calm waters, and the prevailing model for handling change in calm waters is illustrated in Lewin's 3-step model. This model will be discussed in question 5.3. On the other hand, what does white water rapids mean? The metaphor of white water rapids describes a situation in which an organization is depicted as a small raft that navigates through a wide water rapid with highly running water. People on the raft are unknown to each other and never worked together before this. They even don't know their final destination. It is important to mention that change management takes place continuously and the change program occurs under natural conditions. Continuous change is necessary so that people will get more familiar with each other and start working together. In a short phrase, that you want me to conclude, an emergent approach to the change needs to be best fit the white water rapid. Emergent change. What does emergent change means? It's a change that happens without organization intention and it may happen randomly. We move on to the next requirement of the question. Which of these will I use to describe my current life and why is that one of my choice? From the acknowledgement of calm water and white water rapids metaphor, I like to describe my current life as a metaphor of calm waters. There are ample reason for my choice of metaphor type. This is due to the fact that I occasionally find myself difficult and desperate in some circumstances. As a first year uni student, I feel hopeless whenever I'm struggling to catch up with difficult subjects. Sometimes I feel in a peak of pressure where I'll be having hectic days of doing assignments, preparing for tests, presentation as a uni student. At this moment, I'm hoping for my family to stay beside me to get some motivation from them, but I will try my best to sort of these circumstances by myself. I hope most of us will feel the same when you guys are going through same kind of situation as me. Actually, I know the goal of my life. I'm working towards it. I've learned that the life without any true circumstances will be boring. From such circumstances, I believe I'm getting more and more stronger. That's all from me. I will be passing this floor to the next presenter, Sophia. Thank you.
My name is NURHANI Sofia and I will be present question 3, which is describe Lewin's 3-step change process. How is it different from the change process in the white water rapids metaphor of change? So let's go. So now I will explain about Lewin's 3-step change process. This is based on analogy of ice. We will also use it in our discussions to strengthen points. The first step is unfreezing. If you got ice cubes, you need to unfreeze them in order to move them into a different shape, which brings us to the next step, change. In this step, you provide the right environment for change to happen, introducing heat, for example, to melt the ice cube, so you can mold it the way you like it. The third step is refreezing. Who knows, maybe by shaping your ice like the third pictures will make a good conversation starter in parties. By undergoing through the 3-step, you are able to implement the change and make sure that change sticks among the people within the organization. Now, let's look on this analogy translate across the business world. Starting with the unfreeze process, the process of unfreezing starts with preparing the organization for the change that is about to take place. Unfreezing is necessary to move this equilibrium. The management needs to communicate with the members of staff in terms of the actual reason for the change. The reasons of the change could be declining sales figure, poor customer service scores, high employee turnover, greater operational efficiency that required, and more. The staff basically needs to understand that you sometimes need to change their existing beliefs, attitude to get into higher level efficiency. Now, the following steps can be taken to ensure success in this process. To understand why change needs to be actually take place, to get buy-in from senior management, extremely important. To create a vision for the change and actually outline the key aspect of the change that is to take place. To communicate this vision and the need for the change across the entire organization. And then finally, to encourage feedback and correct your course of action in accordance to the feedback. Now, the key aspect for this very important stage are preparation and communication. The next step is the actual change. Now is the transition phase where the actual change is being implemented. People will obviously take time to support any change completely. They will, however, start to change their attitudes and practices with the passage of time to cater the new of doing things. During this process, the following steps can be taken to ensure success. Communication. To communicate with people regularly about the benefits of the ongoing change, to explain to people how the change will affect them once it's been implemented, and how it will affect them personally, and then to be open to questions about the whole process and the results. and then to be prepared to deal with any operational hurdles on the way, to get more people involved in the actual process and to incentivize them for taking part in the process. Now let's look at the final stage, which is refreeze. The new situation needs to be refrozen so that it can be sustained over time. Unless this is done, there is strong chances that the change will be short-lived. The objective of refreezing is to stabilize the new situation by balancing the driving and restraining forces. Now, with the passage of time and the people embracing the new ways of working, it will be time to implement the refreeze stage of the process. The essence of stage really is for the people that be advised and support to continue working with the new way and to internalize these changes which have been implemented. Now we can take the following steps to ensure success in this process. We can provide training and support to people who manage changes to their approach or rules, because this is the new change. There will be a lot of things which they will be doing differently to what they've been doing before. Identify the barriers to sustaining the change which has been put in place now, and encourage people to provide feedback about the way things have changed. And eventually, it is all about infusing positivity about the change and highlighting any benefits that have already been released. Now, it's extremely important to actually celebrate the implementation of the change, to celebrate the change itself, as it reinforces the original objective of the change to people and helps them continually contribute to the success of the organizations. Now we will move to how is it different from the change process needed in the water rapids metaphor of change. The calm waters metaphor dominated the thinking of practicing managers and academics. The prevailing model for handling change in calm water is Lewin three-step model, which is we've been discussing just now. Lewin three-step process treats change as a break in the organization equilibrium state. Meanwhile, the whitewater metaphor takes into consideration that environments are both uncertain and dynamic. The stability and predictability of the calm waters do not exist. Many of today's managers face constant change, bordering in chaos. Few organizations today can treat change as the occasional of disturbance. Most competitive advantages last less than 18 months.
Hello everyone, I'm ELYZA, and I'll be presenting for question 5.4, which is, how are opportunities, constraints, and demands related to stress? Give an example of each. So as we all know, stress is actually a natural feeling of emotional or physical tension, which may help us to deal with the pressures in our daily lives. Of course, there are times where stress is necessary for us to achieve our goals and objectives. However, if there is too much stress, it can be detrimental to our physical and psychological well-being. Opportunities, constraints, and demands are actually factors of stress. They are directly related to each other. In other words, the greater the opportunity, demand, or constraint, the greater the stress becomes. Of course, it depends on the individual itself. At a controlled level, constructive stress is actually very helpful. However, as stated before, too many opportunities, constraints, and demands can lead to excessive stress, which is not good. Hence, the following are the specific explanations about each of these stress factors. Opportunities are actually potential gain, which pushes the individuals who desire to grab the chance. Of course, opportunities don't exist for a long time, let alone forever. This is when making opportunities have their own cost, which is having limited time frame to decide on the opportunity and trigger negative feelings when the opportunities are missed. The pressure of grabbing opportunities and missing the opportunities can result in negative stress. For example, an employee is feeling stressed out due to the dilemma of whether to accept a promotion or not, and that promotion is the opportunity. Next, constraints are the limitations which act as the obstacles that discourage or prevent people from getting what they want. Usually, constraints come in the form of lack of money and time. It forces people to have to come up with alternative methods to achieve their desired goals. Hence, most of the time, constraints are associated with negative stress. For instance, a business owner wants to acquire a new machine to increase the efficiency in production. However, he is forced to come up with other ways to purchase the machine due to the lack of cash capital. Last but not least, demands are mainly associated with something that we are required to do. Demands represents the loss of something desired. This is the condition that is necessary for potential stress to become actual stress. The three types of demands in the business world are task, role, and interpersonal demands. Task demands occurs when the pressure arises from the worker's job. For example, it can be due to heavy workloads required to be completed within a short amount of time. Next, role demands arise when there is stress due to the worker's specific responsibilities. So, for example, an employee is unclear of his or her role, causing the worker to have a hard time to meet role expectations. The third type of demand is interpersonal demand, which is the stress created from poor relationships with other employees. It could be that the individual has lack of social support or sense of belonging among colleagues. It is evident that stress is unavoidable, especially now that we live in a demanding and competitive world. Hence, the best way to reduce stress through opportunities, constraints, and demands is to analyze and be aware of what you are realistically capable of. Avoid doing more than you can handle, or you may find yourself worrying too much about the consequences of failure to succeed in anything. That is all from me. I'll now pass to my fellow groupmate, CARYN, for the next presentation. Thank you.
Hi and good day. I'm CARYN and I will be presenting question 5-5. Organizations typically have limit to how much change they can absorb. As a manager, what signs will you look for that might suggest your organization has exceeded its capacity to change? First of all, I will briefly explain what is changes. Changes refer to any alteration or adaptation of an organization in terms of structure, technology, and people. Moving on to the signs that suggest organization has exceeded its capacity to change. The first sign is increasing in resistance to change. This is because employees feel burdened and refuse to respond to the changes. Next, employees are suffering from stress, also one of the signs. This is due to the reason that they have too many tasks that need to be done, and at the same time, they also need to respond to the changes, such as learning some new skills. In addition to that, employees might face difficulty while learning the new skills. This is because the new skill might be complicated and complex to them. This situation also causes stress among employees, as their manager might pressure them to adapt with the changes. Furthermore, when the organization has exceeded its capacity to change, it will have impact on employee behavior. For example, exceeded capacity will cause turnover rate to increase as the employees are very stressful. Moreover, poor employees' performance, such as decrease in productivity, this is due to the reason that employees are not adapted or unable to keep up with the changes. Also, employees might behave poorly when using them, as they are forced to learn the new method. And lastly, the absenteeism rate increases because they have no motivation and tired of adapting to changes. That's all from me, and I will pass the floor to the next presenter.
Good day, my name is JING, and now we'll be diving into the case study, which is defeating the system. So, in 2015, Volkswagen was embroiled into the worst business scandal ever, as they was caught installing defeat devices on its clean diesel vehicles to overcome government exhaust emission tests for years. The West Virginia University caught Volkswagen action when they realized that the performance of Volkswagen vehicles on the road emission has surpassed the government's allowance by nearly 40 times.
Hello, my name is AZRA, and I'll be continuing the summary for our case study. The United States Environmental Protection Agency has found that Volkswagen has equipped its vehicles with a software that could bypass emission testing systems by adjusting the vehicle's performance to acceptable levels during the test. Once out of the test mode, the software would again increase the performance levels of the vehicle, which results in large emissions of nitrogen oxide, which is a harmful gas.
So for the fifth one, approximately 50,000 cars were sold in the United States according to the EPA's findings. However, Volkswagen later confessed that this software was installed in around 11 million automobiles throughout the world, and as the result, Volkswagen will have to wait a long time to discover the full extent of its ethical error.
CEO Martin Winterkorn, who resigned in response to the scandal, initially claimed not to know about the devices. While many high-ranking executives were suspended, no one is sure who knew about or authorized the software. Initially, the company reported that only a limited number of cars were affected. However, as more details were uncovered, the company admitted that more cars were outfitted with the device, and these actions occurred over a longer period of time than originally reported.
The current CEO of Volkswagen, Matthias Müller, says he's trying to accelerate change at the automaker. He's trying employees to prepare for a rapid shift in the auto industry, and not only leading change in the world of modern automotive technologies, but changing the culture of a company. Müller is making a necessary but difficult decisions that are meeting resistance from managers and employees.
Hello everyone, I am ILYANA, and let's move to the other section, which is Study Case Application 511. What external or internal forces or both for change do you see described in this case? Would you describe VW's environment as small calm waters or white water rapids? Explain. Okay, for the first answer, in the Volkswagen emission scandal, there were both internal and external pressures pushing for change. The ex-leadership CEO under whose leadership the company faced such a historic controversy in the business world was the internal drive for change. Martin Winterkorn, the former CEO, and two other executives have been charged with fraud and conspiracy to cheat on emission tests in order to defraud customers and the authorities. External pressures included legal forces, which required business to make modifications to their operations in order to comply with the law. The EPA investigated the case and discovered that its cars did not meet EPA criteria and were cheating on tests in order to produce results that were not consistent with the standards. This resulted in a $1 billion loss for the corporations and drop in its stock price. And for the second answers, Volkswagen environment is more like a water rapid, where VW operates in a dynamic and changing environment, where there will always be changes in technology, new laws, competition, internal leadership, and so on, requiring VW to deal with change on a continuous basis and take steps to get out of the white rapids.
As for case study number 2, the question has stated that change needs to happen at Volkswagen. In this chapter, we define change as any alteration of an organization's people, structure, or technology. Thus, which of these needs changing at Volkswagen? In my point of view, the structure and the people need to change the most in Volkswagen organizations as compared to their technology. First, I would like to discuss about people. So, what should we change about people? First, I think that Volkswagen should change their company's confident culture and insular culture. For instance, it is said that the former CEO of Volkswagen, who is Mr. Winterkorn, is known as a perfectionist who is consistently criticizes his employees publicly, which leads to fear and stress that is detrimental to their employees' mental health. They should have changed the organization culture with a client culture, which is the culture it is more people-oriented and amenable. In this culture, employees are always valued and the working environment is always very supportive. Besides, employees are also encouraged to provide open and honest feedback. In addition, training programs, employee assistance programs, and wellness programs can be conducted frequently to improve their productivity, competitiveness, and creativity. These measures will increase the employer and employees' engagement, which will lead to an organization's success, higher employees' retention, and also maintaining a good company's image. Most importantly, this climate culture could actually change employees' working attitude, behavior, perspective, and expectations towards the organizations. As for the structure, I think that Volkswagen has to reorganize and manage the structure to speed up the decision-making process. Volkswagen has to actually establish a corporate structure designed to speed up decision-making across its sprawling portfolio of brands. Based on the CARYN article, Volkswagen has actually done this. The Volkswagen management was divided into 3 groups, which are premium, super premium, and volume. There will be 3 persons assigned as each of the group's head. First, Mr. Dees will be leading the volume segment and is responsible for the group-wide research and development. As for Mr. Stadler, the head of premium division, will be in charge of the group-wide sales. And lastly, Mr. Bloom, head of super premium division, will be committed to the group's production as well as being in the management board. This new structure is able to streamline the group's management, systematically leverages synergies in the individual operating units, and speeds up decision-making. This newly constructed management structure is said to be promoting the divide and conquer style of management as compared to the control and command structure that was previously used. That's all for me. Thank you very much.
Hello again. Let's continue to the third question in the case study, which is what organizational development efforts might work at Volkswagen? Explain your choices and what challenges will managers face when making these changes. The first organizational development method that Volkswagen can take is intergroup development. And to do this, the company may perform problem-solving sessions where each department of the company states their perception of themselves and of other departments. And afterwards, these differences in perceptions are discussed with everyone. As an example, we'll say that the marketing department of Volkswagen thinks that the defeat devices should still be implemented in their vehicles, and they would like to keep implementing the defeat devices. This perception is clearly an issue to the company, and it needs to be addressed openly in order to improve the understanding between departments and to allow them to work together more effectively. As a result of intergroup development, all departments will arrive at a higher level of understanding of each other, and they will be more efficient and effective at working together. However, this method does come with a few challenges. The first one being employees may not be able to cope with the changes, because on top of the actual changes that you're doing to the company, you're also implementing these intergroup development activities, and that might prove too much or too stressful for some employees. As a result of that, these employees may experience burnout and be demotivated to continue working. The second organizational development effort that Volkswagen can take is survey feedback, where the company organizes a survey on the satisfaction and opinions of employees regarding the new change. Employees should be asked how the new change is affecting their work culture and their effectiveness at the workplace. From the answers given by the employees, managers can then decide and enact corrective measures in order to tackle these newfound problems. As a result of survey feedback, managers will be able to clarify and solve the employees' problems regarding the new change. Apart from that, employees will also feel that their opinions and views matter to the company. Survey feedback comes with its own challenges, however. The first one being employees may not be transparent with the company while answering the survey. This may be because they feel that their opinions are socially unacceptable. For example, an employee thinks that the defeat devices, the software that they were previously using in the company, is actually fine, and he feels that it actually increases the company's profits. But his views are socially unacceptable and they do not align with others' views. Therefore, that employee would like to keep his views secret and he would lie about it in the survey. The second challenge would be that the survey questions themselves may not address employees' problems. To overcome this challenge, managers or the survey organizers will have to think carefully about the questions that are asked in the survey, and they would have to analyze which questions are asked in order to properly achieve the objective of the planned change. That's all from me. Let's move on to the next presenter.
Good day, everyone. Good day, everyone. I'm MD.ASRI. Today I'll be presenting about case study 514. The question is, look at the reasons people resist change. Which do you think are happening at Volkswagen? What approaches would you recommend for overcoming the resistance to the change? Give your rationale for each approach you choose. Uncertainty, change is not organization's best interest, concern over personal loss, and habit are the reasons people resist change. One of the reasons for what's happening in Volkswagen is uncertainty. Current CEO Matthias Müller of Volkswagen is leading change into the world of automotive technology. He's urging employees to prepare for a rapid shift into the automotive industry, including autonomous driving, electric vehicles, smart engines, and picture navigation. This causes employees in Volkswagen to face uncertainty. When modern technologies are introduced, employees are required to learn the new operating methods and adapt to new working methods as well as new responsibilities. Some employees fear that they'll be unable to do so and develop a negative attitude towards change or behave poorly. Next reason for what's happening in Volkswagen is habit. Not only in modern technology but also CEO Matthias Müller is leading changes in the culture of the company. The change in authority relationship, coordination mechanism, degree of centralization, job design or similar organization is linked to the company with clear vision to the future. Employees are longing to the old centralistic leadership which they are very used to, and it is very hard to change their mindset. Employees feel that it is not easy to overcome Volkswagen's long tradition of management hierarchies. As the result, companies become inflexible and slow to change. Volkswagen previously used a coercion approach to resist change as CEO Martin Winterkorn was known to criticize employees publicly, and this generated both fear among employees and commitment to do whatever necessary to ensure the company's success. The approach I recommend to overcome resistance towards change is education and communication. As discussed earlier, common issues that cause resistance to change include fear of the unknown and misunderstanding of why change is needed. Employees in Volkswagen will only accept the change if they believe the risk of doing nothing is higher than the risk of changing direction. Similarly, if employees don't understand why change is needed, they will question why management are changing something that they believe works well. Communication and education about the change should begin before it is initiated. This will help employees to rationalize the change and ensure that individuals and teams receive adequate information to make positive judgments. The next approach I would recommend is participating employees in company's decision making. A lack of belief that CEO Matthias Müller can make effective change leads to resistance towards change. Likewise, when employees and managers aren't consulted and change is forced upon them, there is likely to be more resistance. This is especially the case if employees believe their jobs will be at risk due to the change in the culture of Volkswagen. A collaborative effort will engage employees and managers into the change and the identification of potential issues and solutions. Employees are far less likely to resist change if they have helped to create it. Such change will lead the company to readiness and acceptance, a sense of competence, a sense of control, and better trust. Participants will reduce the stress and snaps employees' desire to change.
Hi, I'm Vaishnavi Mogan Raju, and let's look at the case study. Is an innovative culture always going to be at odds with an ethical culture, or is an innovative and ethical culture possible? First and foremost, what is an innovative culture? An innovative culture is an organizational culture that really values and supports innovation so that people can actually make innovation happen. All innovative company cultures have plenty of things in common, but there are also individual differences between companies. What is an ethical culture? An ethical culture looks anthropologically at how an organization demonstrates and teaches the extent to which it regards its values, specifically the ethical culture of an organization. For example, teaches employees whether doing the right thing matters, makes doing what is right expected, and also includes formal ethic program elements, reward, punishment system, and also organizational meetings. So basically, innovation culture just focuses on innovations, meanwhile ethical culture just focuses on ethical behavior. From my point of view, I believe both innovation and ethics are equally important. And yes, innovative and ethical culture is possible to work together. Few examples of most ethical companies are eBay, a retail company, Ford, an automotive company, L'Oreal, a health and beauty company. Let's talk about L'Oreal. As I mentioned before, L'Oreal is known as the most ethical company in the world, but it also focuses on beauty innovations. L'Oreal has set itself the mission of offering all women and men worldwide the best cosmetics innovations in terms of quality, efficacy, and safety. L'Oreal has a team dedicated to working in technology incubator designed as a startup within their research and innovation teams. They are developing and launching groundbreaking new beauty technologies and partnering with top universities, startups, and experts in a diverse range of fields to spark new innovations at L'Oreal. L'Oreal is one of the health and beauty brands that is well known in many countries. This definitely shows innovation and ethical culture can work together. Innovation is very much an ethical matter because ethics is fundamentally concerned with anything that can promote or hinder human well-being. In an innovation culture company, ethical culture, which is enforcement through rewards and punishment, is more effective in preventing violations related to organizational resources such as fraud, waste, and abuse. That's all from me. Thank you and feel free to drop your questions in the forum.